Hey guys, Mix here. Welcome to the part 2 of trying to revive that Predator 212. So if you saw part 1, which I uploaded yesterday, I took apart everything. And now today what I'm just going to do is I'm going to wipe down all the grease, out of all the parts, drain the gas, and then pretty much put the whole thing back together and hope that it runs. Also, I think I might try and take off the flywheel because I just realized that this whole crankshaft and flywheel just moves side to side, so that's not good. So what you want to do in order to take off that bolt is to get something to hold the flywheel in place, so when you go to loosen it, the whole thing doesn't spin. So I just did that, and then just stick it between where the armature was and spin it until it gets locked up, and then take it off. Alright, so I got the bolt off. It's a 15mm, and I had to use the torque wrench because it was super tight on there. So I just realized something, that once the crank cover is on, it's not going to move in, it's going to stay out, which is going to make it be able to spin. And also, I said that this is a 15mm, this is actually a 19mm. So I'm going to leave it for now, see how it goes, and then let's put this all back together. Alright, so what you want to do once this all back assembled, you want to get a torque wrench and put it to 54 foot-pounds. Okay, so now that that's all torqued, remember to put the torque wrench back to 0 foot-pounds so you don't wear out the spring inside. And now let's get back to putting this all back together. So first we're going to start off with putting back in the piston. So what we want to do is take some oil, put it around the cylinder, and then put some on the piston rings. And then what you want to do is compress these piston rings and put it in so the air is facing down. Alright guys, so in order for the piston to go in, I need to get a ring compressor tool which compresses the piston ring so it can go into the cylinder. So we're going to go to Harbor Freight and pick that up, and you're coming with us. Also, I might pick something up for the quad. So I just picked up a ring compressor tool, and what it does is basically does what it's called. It compresses the piston ring so it can go into the cylinder. Alright, so the piston is now in. And what you basically just want to do is just to take the Allen key that comes with it and tighten it around the piston and kind of hammer down the ring compressor around here, and then just simply sliding the piston into the cylinder. So now with the piston, we're going to put in the lower cap, and these have to be torqued. Alright, so now that the piston's attached to the crankshaft, now I'm going to install the tappets and the camshaft and then start working with the valves. So what you have to do when you install your camshaft is you have to line up that dot right there with the dot on the crankshaft right there, so it's timed correctly. So now that the engine's all timed correctly, now we can start installing the push rods and the valves. So when I was putting back on this clip, it kind of flew off and I can't find it anywhere. So that's not good. And of course the sun's setting already, so I have to start cleaning up everything, and then we'll start looking again tomorrow. Alright guys, so it's the next day, and I couldn't find that little clip anywhere. So what I did is I kind of made my own, and I used a washer and grinded it in half, and then kind of made it fit around that little wrist pin thing, as tight as I possibly could. And then I put just barely a little silicone on it to keep it in place. So while that's drying, we're going to put together the engine. So now I'm going to put in the cylinder head bolts, and they have to be torqued to 17 foot-pounds. So I got the head bolts all put on and torqued. Now I'm going to put on the armature. So what you have to do when putting on an armature is get a feeler gauge and put it to 8 thousandths. Then get your armature and put the feeler gauge between the armature and the magnet, and then bolt it down. I forgot to mention that it's pouring out. Okay, with the armature all hooked up, what you can do to check is just spin it, make sure nothing hits, then you're all good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the valve clearances. So what you want to do for this is get the engine to TDC, and what you could do is take a screwdriver and put it down the spark plug hole, and then spin the engine until the piston, comes to the top and is about to go down. And then what you want to do is get your feeler gauge and put it to 5 thousandths, and then stick it right between where the rocker is and the valve. And obviously this one's way too loose. Let me check this one. And that one's way too tight. So what you could do to adjust them is just screw these tighter if it's too big, and untighten if it's too small. So the valve clearances are all good, perfectly at 5/1000ths. Now I want to scrape off all this like extra gasket material and then just put on some fresh gasket material and it's clean. Alright, so that was like about the best I can do. Really, this stuff really isn't coming off that great, but it really doesn't matter for the valve cover, you know, because not a lot of oil really gets in there. Well, like pretty much none gets in there, but it matters for the crankcase because then oil would drip out of the bottom, and I've had a lot of experience with that. It's not fun. So I'm gonna try and take off as much as I can, take some off of here and see how it goes. Alright guys, so I got on all the plastics. Now I'm gonna put on the valve cover. And sorry if it doesn't seem like I'm showing you guys like what I'm doing. It's because of all of this. Like I don't have any places to put the camera, and I'm kind of working under like a tent because it's pouring out. It's because of all of this. Like I don't have any places to put the camera, and I'm kind of working under like a tent because it's pouring out. Alright, so the crankcase cover's on. Now I just need to put on the exhaust, and I'm gonna wait to put on the air filter box because I need to order a new carburetor for it. Alright guys, so the valve cover's on, the spark plug's on, and also when you're putting on the valve cover, put them on in a crisscross pattern so it evenly, you know, spreads out. It's on nice. But now we're gonna put on the crank cover. This is starting to look like an engine. Alright, so the crankcase cover's on. Now I just need to put on the exhaust, and I'm gonna wait to put on the air filter box because I need to order a new carburetor for it. And now the exhaust is on. Alright guys, so this is basically just gonna conclude it for the part 2 of this build. If you guys enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up, and stay tuned for part 3 of installing the airbox, the carburetor, and see if the thing will run. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, and tell your friends about the channel.